I want to use. Okay, so now I am recording and I will share my screen. So what I want to do is I want to share you an image. I will drop it in the general platform. Yes, looking at this image on the general platform, you have it now. So do you think you can build something like this? Can you build this? I want to see people who will say yes and no. Yes and no. Can you build this? Yes and no. How many are we? We are 19. So I expect a minimum of 10 responses. Minimum of 10. 10 out of 19. 10 responses before I say anything. I have 1, 2. Idris, where are you? Are you number 3 or are you number 2? Idris. Also, I'm not sharing my screen. I think I should, but I can actually. I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Only 6 persons. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Where are others? Where are others? Are you not seeing the screen? I'm waiting for you. Okay. I am waiting for your responses. Please say something. Is this something you can build? All right. So this is what I'll say. This will be the project that will end HTML and CSS for us. So that means this is your assignment. Now, what I am going to do is maybe build one part of it, just one part of it that you think will give you a challenge. So we have the nav bar here. We have the right-hand side and we have the left-hand side. So which side do you want me to build now so that we'll drop CSS, HTML and CSS? This is your assignment. Or pick a part of it that you think might be a challenge to you. Drop it on the question and answer topic. So we have 3 sides: the nav bar, the right hand, and the left hand. So which side should I build? The nav bar. 1. So we have be very fast so that I know. So we have 2 persons for nav bar, 1 person for the right hand side. 2 persons on the right hand side. I have to count to, this is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So if we get, how many are we? I'm sure I'm not going to get up to 10. Okay, if I get the first 10 persons, then I know which one to build. So now we have just 5 persons and the right hand side takes the lead. Okay, 6 persons. Please drop it in the question and answer. Don't use the general side. Please on the question and answer so that I know where I'm getting. Yes, the question and answer. So the nav bar has 4. The right hand has 3. Please, so that we can move on. Who else? If you dropped your own on the general platform, please come back and drop it in the question and answer topic, please, so that I have everything in one place. The right hand side, so we have 1, 2, 3, 4 for navbar, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 for right hand side. Nobody's complaining about the left hand side. Does it mean you know everything on the left hand side? Okay. Do we have 10 responses? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Only 9, 9, 9, 9. So where is the last person that is going to end this? Only 9. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Where is the last person that will end this so that we know what we are building? The right hand side. So actually, I think the right hand side is what we are going with. All right, so let me explain this image. If you can see my screen, I want to explain the image. Now, this is the nav here. Inside the nav, there are 3 siblings. Now, the image and the image container is one sibling. The UL is in the middle, a sibling. And then this is the login and the sign up. This is a div that contains the 2 of them and is also a sibling. Now, the nav is going to display flex, align items, center, justify content, space between for the nav, so that these things will sit side by side. The UL is going to do the same thing, display flex, align items, center, justify content, space between. Now, the login and the sign up container is also going to do the same thing. But the difference here is that for the nav, you're not giving it a width. If you're giving it a width, it has to be 100%. But for the UL, you will give a width of 60%. And for the div container or the login container, you give a width of, say, maybe 20%. You just check it to see which one is better. But it doesn't mean you must give a width. You can also achieve this with margins. You can also achieve it with margins. Now, on the left-hand side, you have this side is a section. This is a whole section. The green one is a whole section that contains 2 divs, the first div and the second div. Now, this side is flexed 1, which is why it is greater than this side. This side is given a fixed width, maybe 600, 700, depends on what you want to use. But the good thing is the left-hand side is bigger than the right-hand side. So the section contains 2 divs that is flexed, displayed, flex, align item, center, justify content, space between. You can also achieve it with margin. That being said, okay, Gerard, I'm going to check that out. I haven't started checking the assignments. All right. Now, if you have a question, please use the question. Okay, no question yet. All right. Gerard, I'm going to check that out. I haven't started looking at the assignment. I will after this class. So these 2 divs are flexed. Now, this left-hand div, which is bigger, contains 2 divs again. Now, the 2 divs are not displayed flex. No, they are not. They just have margin between them. But inside each of them, you have 2 containers too. The container for the image and the container for the text. which is displayed flex, aligned items, center, which is why this text and this thing, they are seated in the center of this image. Align items, center, justify content, space between, but you can achieve it with margin, the same thing. Now on this right hand side, you have a container that has a background image. Now this image is a background image, and you have a text on top, another paragraph on top, and a button on top. That is all. So what I would do is, like we have voted, I'm going to build the right hand side. So let's go. I'll keep this here for reference purpose. We keep it there, and then open up this and go to, not here, go to CareerEX, close this one, and cohort 2. I have I just create a folder, call it test. I have nothing to call it for now. Open with VS Code. So my VS Code is opened. I can then close this. VS Code, I want to create an index.html file, index.html, and I'll bootstrap it. So, but let me make the font bigger. I think this is big enough. The next thing I want to do is to create my CSS file, index.css, and hit enter. Okay, so here I want to link my CSS file with link./index.css. So let me confirm that I'm actually recording this. Yes, I am. All right, let's continue. So from the diagram here, we are going to have a section, and inside that section we have two divs that are sitting side by side. So let's go. Section. Inside the section we have dot div1, which is the first div on the left hand side, and dot div2, the div on the right hand side. So what I'm going to do next is to call the section and give it a border 2 pixels solid green, and save that. And I'll need to view this with live server. So open live server, and that should open up here, but I'll change the browser because I want to use Edge. Add it here and see. All right, so I have my image here, but it's not looking great. It's not. So what I can do is put this somewhere here. Now for the images, that says images, sorry, for your questions, please use only this question and answer, because I may not see it after now. So I have this here, I have this here, and I have this here. So what I want to do is, I've given it a border, but it is too tiny because there is nothing inside any of them. So what I will do is call this one. Here I'll give this a height and width, maybe width of 200 pixels. Height, now I don't need the height. Let me just leave that. Okay, I don't need the height. Div2, I can give this a height of let's say 500 pixels. 500 is too much. I can give it 400 pixels. 400 is fine. I'll give it a width of 400 pixels. Okay, but first I needed a border for each of them. 2 pixels solid blue. I'll use blue on this side, and then this one I'll also use blue here. Not blue, but rather let's try red. All right, but the section is not displayed flex, so I have to display flex. I have to align items center. I need to justify content space between. Justify content space between. All right, now this one is too small because there is nothing inside. I can increase the height with the same height that this one has. Okay, but flex it flex 1 and save. So now I think this is too big, but let's see this full size. All right, so this is too small. I might want to increase the width if you want. You might clip it like this, however you want. But let me just increase the width a little to 500. Okay, so if I make this bigger, yeah, I have 500. I have now for the main section, I want to give the main section a padding all around. Padding all around, let's try 15 pixels all around. All right, so if I open this, I have this now, but there's no spacing between these two. So I think my section is not working well because of the sizes I am using. So what I can do is give this one a margin right. Let's say 15 pixels. Yeah, so I have something like this. Now it's not looking great, but it's coming together. If you're a developer, you should know that this is coming together now. We are leaving this side. We are focusing on this side. So the first thing is to add the background image. And where will I find that image? So it is a Netflix logo PNG. Netflix logo. So we just have to. All right. So which of them? Let's click on images. Sorry. Okay, I think I like this one. Maybe this one. Which of them? Let me open this and also open this. It doesn't matter the logo you use, they are all Netflix logo. So this one is fine by me. I will download this one. So save image, and it's saving to my I call it Netflix logo logo, and save it. So in my project, I want to create a folder for images. So I have a folder for images. Now this is going to be my download. So I will drag this image and drop it in my project directory. You gotta be kidding me. Are you serious right now? Okay, I would have saved directly, but okay, sorry. It's maybe I'm clicking too hard. I'll drop it here and close that. So for image, I am done with images. Okay, so the first thing I want to do is to add a background image to this div. Now I will not add the image here because if you look at the design, where is the design? This is the design. Do we have questions? Is the video skipping? Please let me know. Is the video skipping? because I know I'm fast. I'm trying to be fast, but if the video is skipping, who can confirm? If the video is skipping, okay. Oh. So what could be wrong? What could be wrong? Okay, what could be wrong? Now, the video may not be skipping in the sense because I am fast. So what I'll do is I'll slow down. Okay, I'll slow down because I'm just a little bit fast. I think that's why it's doing as if it's skipping. It's doing as if it's skipping. So I will first increase the font size. Now this is the font. Okay, so what I did was to create a section with this. What I did was to create a section. Inside the section, I have two containers, div1 and div2. So in the section, I gave it a border, the green border, displayed flex, aligned items, center, and justify content, space between. And then so that nothing will be touching the border, I gave a border of 15 pixels all around, which is why it's looking like this, green. And this is the first empty div. This is the second empty div, like that. Okay. So the next thing I did was to give sizes to these things, because without the sizes, they will not be this big. So you are free to choose any size. Now for the first div, which is the red one, I gave a red border. I gave a width of 200 pixels and a height of 400 pixels. So that's why it's like this. And then I gave a margin right of 15 pixels to create a space between the two of them. Then I said flex 1. Now this flex 1 means it's going to be bigger than the right hand side, which of course it is. So here it is bigger than this one. The next thing I did was for the blue one, I gave it a blue border. I gave it a height of 400 pixels and a width of 500 pixels, which is why it's looking like this. So this is what I have now. And one other thing I did was to download the image that I will use. To download the image I would use. Sorry, this has become too big. I'll reduce it a little. The image I downloaded, I had to store it inside the image folder, and it is this image, the Netflix logo, like this. So I have the Netflix logo, and I will not be adding it directly in my HTML, because if you look at the design, it has text and button and a button on top of it. So it means that this image is a background image. So which is what I will do. I will add it as a background image. Now I use flex 1 because I want it to occupy the remaining spaces. When this is assigned a particular width, there will be remaining spaces. So I want the red one to occupy the remaining spaces. So that's why I use flex 1. That's what Flex One will do. So here I want to add a background image to this one. So I will come here and add background image. And then we use URL / images and this image and save. So the image has covered everything because of course the image is that big. So that's why it is covering everything. But I can actually give it a size and say background size should be contained. Now it contains the whole thing, but it is actually repeating. So I don't want it to repeat. I will remove that with background repeat, no repeat. So I'm saying that the image on the background should not repeat. Save that. Now I have something like this. So this is a background image, and the next thing will be to add a text and a paragraph and a button on top of it. Now this image is not coming from the HTML, it is coming from the CSS because it is a background image. Now it's a background image because there will be other tags on top of it. Now the first tag here, I want to use H1 that will have lorem 3 for title. And now that is on top of it. The next thing I want to do is to add a paragraph with lorem 20 and save that. And I have a text on top of it. And the last thing I want to do is a button, like read more button, and save it. I have my button here. But from the design, I need to style the button. So what I can do is give this button a class name if I want, or I can just call it with the parent, which is this. So I can go here and say .div2 button. So this means the button that is inside div2. I want to change the background color to coral, something like this. Yes, I want to remove the border with none. Yes, I want to increase the height to say 30 pixels. Yes, and I want to increase the width to 300 pixels. Yes, 300 pixels is too small. I can do more than that. Let's say 500 if that will not be too much. 500 is fine. But if I increase it, okay, 500 is fine. I think the size, the width of this div is actually 500 pixels. So that is why I'm giving the image 500 pixels. Now I can change the color of the text to white. Color of text, sorry, white. Save it. Now it is white. So I can give it a margin, or maybe say this div, I don't want these items touching the border. So I can actually give that div padding all around, say 10 pixels from left to right and center. Yeah, I have padding all around, but I think it's actually increasing the size, but that's fine. That's fine. So I can bring this button down, or maybe also increase the height. So I can increase the height to 40 and then give it a margin top to bring it down a little. Margin top of 20 pixels. So now it is down. So looking at it, this should look exactly like what we have on the design. Now, if not exactly the same, it should look almost the same. Yeah, not the same, but almost the same. So, ladies and gentlemen, that is what. Now, there are other styles you can add to it, but this is just a pretty basic. Like you can add the hover effect. If I hover over it, something should happen. So, ladies and gentlemen, do you have any question on what I just did? What if you want the background image to be transparent? Now, I don't know why you would want to add the background image and you also want the image not to show. Why are you adding it in the first place? Now, I've not seen. Now, you can reduce the opacity of an image, but like I said, that would be you going deeper into front end, which is not what we're doing. But you can reduce the opacity of an image, but why would you want to tamper with the image that you are actually adding? Why are you tampering with it? Which is why I bother with people who go to work out. They go to work out so that they work out the whole food they've eaten. Why would you want to tamper the food you ate on purpose? That you know you want to eat food. You eat the food finish and you say, no, you want to go and work it out. Why are you tampering with it? Why did you eat it in the first place? Okay, so any other question? Can we have more than one flex one? Yes, Stephen, we can. But if you look at the design, you will see that the left-hand side is bigger than the right-hand side, meaning that we have only one flex one here. This has a fixed width, while this one is using flex one. But you can now in a situation where you want to have more than one flex one, it means you want the two of them to be equal in size, in width. But that's not the case on the design. The design, they are not equal in width. Okay. Any other question? So we can move on to something else. Okay, Said. So what is the question here? Did you do this? George, I would want to understand what you mean by commands and languages. What do you mean by commands and languages? We're not using any other language. For now, we haven't. Is it the language I use as in my diction, or how do I put it? Commands. Do you mean the shortcuts I use, or where is George? Let me give you the mic. George, we are. Is he on this call? Yes, George, go ahead. Tell us, what do you mean?
Hello.
Yeah, I can hear you. Go ahead.
Yeah, good evening all.
Yeah, good evening.
I think I'm really catching up the stuffs, but where I'm really concerned is those languages you're using like Flex One, what they call it, like before you input anything, you have to type a language. There's some
Now,
kind of
those are CSS properties. They are
oh,
CSS properties. Now, the only reason why I know them is because I have been applying them for too long. Now, it's not compulsory that you should cram them. No, you just need to know what you want to achieve. If you want to add a background image, you know how to add a background image. If you want to add a padding, you know how to add padding. So, and it's not compulsory that you must know all of them. You know what? Where is George? But if that's your question, you have nothing to worry about. What I would say is this: if you do this assignment, you don't have to worry about HTML. No, you have to worry about HTML once, but you don't have to worry about HTML and CSS again. Now, I understand totally that backend developers do not like CSS at all. They find it difficult to remember all these things. The only reason why I'm teaching it is because I am a full stack, so I do both. So, but if you are just a backend person, it will be difficult for you to do front end, which is why I'm not going deeper into front end. Now, these things I'm teaching you now, we are only going to use it once. For now, you don't even know why I'm teaching it to you, but we're going to build something, build a functionality, and we will apply it to these things we have built now. Now, if it works for you, then it means going forward, you're going to be building a good backend that can be integrated to the front end. That is the only reason why we are building this. We're not learning front end because we want to be building website front end. We're learning front end because when we build the software's back end, it can be integrated to a front end, and nobody will ask us to go back and continue or rebuild it again from scratch. Or the front end developer saying you don't know what you did, there'll be back and forth between the two of you. Actually, front-end developer and back-end developer usually fight a lot. They fight a lot. The front end is doing something different. The back end is doing something different. Now, the front end and the UI can team up together against the back end, but that's like internal crisis, and I hope it will not be something you want to experience. So that's it. Now, the next person is Said. Said, I want to hear your question. What do you mean? Because I know I didn't give you that kind of thing as an assignment. I would not. Said, please unmute yourself and tell us what is your question. I tried it, but I couldn't get our product. What do you mean?
Yes, I can hear me.
Yeah, I can hear you.
I tried the way our product was. Like I wanted to replicate it for my assignment and be thinking further. Like I didn't know if it was used in an A star those headers H1 H2. I tried literally on the H1 I could not achieve that with the H1.
Okay, I think if I get you right, what I actually asked for was a list. A list like either UL or OL. So
I
but it's fine. It's fine. You don't now. I would want you to do the assignment. That's one, but I will not want you to spend or waste your energy on the front end because you have a lot of work to do on the back end. So if it's not coming together, it's fine, leave it. But do the assignment. Make sure you're able to do the assignment and submit. That's all. You have a lot of work waiting for you on the back end, like that. So that is
thank you.
all. Okay. Easy. What do you mean by IDE? Do you mean my development environment? Easy, go ahead. Do you mean my development environment or my idea? What do you mean? Easy, are you there? My dev environment. So are you asking I share the codes with you, or are you asking I share the codes with you? Okay, like this. Now, I haven't done much. I think I haven't. But what I would do is I'll just copy. Do I need to copy this? Or I will share the code with you at the end of the class. I think I will just share the code with you at the end of the class. That's what I will do. But for now, I'll just entertain questions. Any questions on what we have done so far? I will entertain questions, and I think I can close this. We're done with that. What else? All right. Any other questions? If there is no question, please drop a thumbs up so that we can continue. But like I said, that is your assignment for this week. I am going to post it on Google Google Classroom, but don't wait for it. Sorry, where is the other part of it? All right, that's the assignment. I'm going to post it on Google Classroom, but you already have it. So try and replicate this thing. That's the assignment. So in the absence of anything else, we are proceeding. So it is with good measure, press down, running together, and plenty alhamdulillah that I welcome you to JavaScript. So welcome to JavaScript. Now, the reason why I'm trying to bring in JavaScript now is so that I do the introductory part of JavaScript before you go on the weekends. Sorry, before we continue again. So what is JavaScript and why JavaScript? Now, there are a lot of programming languages. Now, some people say this one is the best, that one is the best. But for me, I don't think anyone is actually the best. Reason being that a lot of them are still being worked on. A lot are being worked on, are being improved on a daily basis. So some people say PHP is dead, but before you know it, next year they work on PHP is be back. Some say JavaScript is not good. Before you know, they've included a lot of stuff. ES6, EX7 is out, is now good. Some say Java is going down. Before you know it, we have this and that. Java is now up. So there is none best, there is none perfect. But the most important thing is when you are building a project, you need to ask yourself, which one do I know that I can use to finish this project? Now, a lot of persons I know very well, they will start a project with a particular programming language. Now, when it comes time to update it or do something, they can't finish it up. I know projects that have been built and they have to convert it to JavaScript. That a lot of them. Now, the reason being, number one, JavaScript is like the only programming language for the web. So if you're going to build a website, there is no other programming language you want to use on the front end that is not JavaScript. Any other language you're using to build, it will be like you talking to the web from behind the scene, because JavaScript is the only programming language for the web. So, and a lot of us have decided to, you know what, JavaScript for us, we have reasons to believe that it is actually the best. A lot of persons have reason to believe that it is the best. Some say it's not, but like I said, JavaScript is very fast. It can handle multiple requests at the same time. Meaning, if I'm building a website and a lot of it, a majority part of it is built with JavaScript, it means I can have millions of users on it. For example, Netflix. Now, majority part of Netflix is running on JavaScript, meaning I can have, the company can have multiple users watching Netflix at the same time, and nobody is going to know that other persons are watching. It's just you and your TV and maybe your mobile app or whatever you're using to watch Netflix. So, and it's not just Netflix, you have Facebook, you have WhatsApp, you have a lot of programs, softwares that are running on JavaScript. But that does not mean that these programs don't have other programming language they are built with, but majority part of it is built with JavaScript. So, which is why it actually runs very well. But for you and I, we are not learning JavaScript because we want to code front end. We are learning JavaScript because we want to use JavaScript on the back end. And we're going to come to that aspect. There's a lot of benefits can Node.js be used for mobile app backend? And this is what I will say. I'm a full stack developer, meaning I build front end for web, back end for web, front end for mobile, back end for mobile, front end for dashboard, back end for dashboard. Everything I build, everything with JavaScript. No other programming language. Now I can choose to use any other one, but I decide to stick with JavaScript. So, and Node.js runs on JavaScript. So you can use Node.js to build your backend for a mobile app. You can, absolutely, and there will be no, except you don't know how to build the mobile app, but there will be no errors, nothing hanging, everything work out fine. So you can. So JavaScript has been upgraded. Now, at some point, like I said, most of these programming languages didn't come out as the best. At some point, some people consider them not good, especially JavaScript. So some persons consider JavaScript, no, JavaScript is not too good. Java is better than JavaScript. And I must say, Java and JavaScript are not the same thing. So some persons will say Java is the brother to JavaScript. No. Java is a different programming language. JavaScript is a different programming language. They have nothing in common. So they're entirely different from each other. So and that means at some point, some person said JavaScript is not too good. It has some flaws. It did this, it did that. Yes, it did. At that time, JavaScript wasn't really good. But they've worked on JavaScript. They've improved JavaScript. Now we have an updated version of JavaScript. And they've not stopped. They are still updated. They're still working, and they are doing more and more on JavaScript, including Node.js. Now, I think when I started teaching full stack, Node.js, I think that Node.js was running on Node 14? Yes, Node 14. But I just read this week that Node.js has upgraded to Node 22, meaning that there was Node.js 15, Node.js 16, Node.js 17, Node.js 18, Node.js 19, Node.js 20, 21, and now we have 22. Now, why are they updating these things? Every programming language is going through updates. The reason is because when you want to incorporate more things, you'd want to add new features. One of them be, for example, JavaScript is not used for data science. JavaScript is not used for AI, or was not used for AI. JavaScript was not used for Web3. A lot of stuff like that. But because they are trying to make JavaScript a universal programming languages, there needs to be updates. Now, currently, you can use JavaScript in a lot of things, including data science. But it's not that popular, but we're getting there. And also for Web3, you can use JavaScript. For machine learning, you can also use JavaScript. A lot of stuff will be coming up, and JavaScript will be involved. Now, but there are other programming languages that are dominant there. For example, I know for data science, Python is dominant there. But if it comes to yes, as in Web3, blockchain, yes. Okay, yeah, but this is updates. These are updates. So this is updating to version 22. My system is actually running on version 20, meaning after a few weeks or months, I should be upgrading to version 22. So, but this is like when it comes to Node.js, there's something with Node.js. They release a version that is very stable, and they keep that one as one. And then they release another version. If I want to show you, let me just open the Node.js documentation so that we'll see it. Node.js.org. So if you come to the Node.js, sorry, no, I didn't say you should download this. I wanted to see the different versions. Sorry. Downloads. Okay, so when you come to this place where you need to download, the UI is showing kind of different in my own, but if you look at it here, they tell you that this version 2.25 is the latest one, and now you have version 21.27 is the stable one. Now the thing is, these ones are stable. That is what Node.js will do. They will build one version and it's very stable. They will keep it, and then they build another one that will begin to undergo tests. As people install it, they'll be getting feedback, they'll be getting responses. Okay, this has a bug, this cannot do this. So based on those feedback, they'll keep working on the current one until they get it stabilized. And once it's perfect, they will push up another update and start working on version 23, like that. And people will still give their feedbacks, give their experiences. When version 23 is stable, they move on again to 24. So that is how these programming languages are being upgraded. And it doesn't mean it's just for JavaScript. It is done for a lot of them. I think it's done with Go, Laravel, Python, and so on and so forth. As a matter of fact, I think JavaScript and Python are trying to come into an agreement where the two languages can work together, JavaScript and Python working together. And that is because JavaScript wants to go into, or is actually into, data science right now. So yes, JavaScript is used in fintech apps, whether mobile or whether web. You can actually use JavaScript if you want, but a lot of persons prefer to. Yeah, you can if you want, whatever you want. What else? What else? An assignment was given, you will say it. Okay. All right. So that being said, now when we're going to JavaScript, there's a way we learn JavaScript. There's JavaScript on the back end, there's JavaScript on the front end, but the two of them are the same JavaScript. Meaning, if you learn JavaScript once, you can use it on the front end as a front-end developer. You can also use it on the back end as a back-end developer. And if you become very good with JavaScript, you can equally use it as a mobile app developer, like that. So you can actually be very good in JavaScript and be a full stack developer. It's very possible. So we've said much. We'll just go straight into testing out JavaScript. The first thing I want to do is to create a new file. And this file, I will call it anything, but it has to end with .js. So you can call it anything, but it has to end with .js. Yes, you can use JavaScript. Yes, Steven. Yes, you can if that's where the area you want to go to. As a matter of fact, it's recommended to build your front end blockchain with JavaScript. Your front end is recommended to build with Java. What is it called? JavaScript. But we are not going there yet. We're just entering JavaScript. So let's go gradually. And this is what I'll say. Please, JavaScript is very, very simple. It is very, very simple, believe me, but you have to pay attention. You have to really, really pay attention. Otherwise, you will be lost. And in the process of trying to find you, me too, I can be lost. So in order for two of us not to be lost, please try and pay attention. So welcome to JavaScript. Now, JavaScript doesn't run alone. You can either run JavaScript on the front end or you run it on the back end, and so on and so forth. So to run JavaScript on the front end, we need a HTML file, meaning when you create JavaScript file, you also need to create HTML file. Because we are coding JavaScript on the front end, we need to see what the JavaScript is doing on the front end. That is why we need this HTML file. Okay, so that being said, there's a reason why when they are asking you to learn programming, they will start with HTML, then CSS before JavaScript. There is a reason why, and I will explain that reason using how to link JavaScript. Now we link our CSS here, but we are not supposed to link the script like this. Sorry, not this script with the src. And I will say again, there are two ways to write JavaScript. Just like there are three ways to write CSS. Now you can write your JavaScript inside this HTML, which is not what we want to do. You can. You just need to create a script here. Once you create a script tag here, and you can say alert, through an alert that says welcome, like this. Through an alert that says welcome, and save it. So if I go to my browser, I'll see that it says welcome here, and this alert is coming from JavaScript. Now I can change that and change it to welcome to JavaScript. Welcome to JavaScript, and it says welcome to JavaScript. So, but you can also write this JavaScript inside the body if you want, somewhere here, and save that. It will also work, but this is not what we want to do. We want to write JavaScript professionally. So I will remove this, but like I said, you can do that if you want. Just to confirm that I'm actually recording this again. Yes, I am. So like I said, there's a reason why you start with HTML, then they tell you CSS before JavaScript. The reason is this: JavaScript is the last thing, or should be the last thing, that your browser should see. The browser should see JavaScript last. Now, the first thing the the browser is looking for is your HTML file. When it sees your HTML file, it forgets any other file and goes straight to reading the HTML file. When it starts reading the HTML file, it will see this link here and it will stop. Then move over to this index.css file. Read everything that is inside the index.css file, and then come back and continue reading the HTML and be applying the styles that it has read. That is the normal format for it. The reason is this: JavaScript is the functionality. JavaScript is the robot that will carry out the functions on that website. So if the browser sees your JavaScript first, before the HTML and before the CSS, it can actually cause your website to crash. Now, I want to believe that a lot of you at some point in the early 2000, 2001, 2005, especially when Facebook came out, you can go to a website and you will see the website is blank, showing you white page. It's actually blank. That means the website has crashed. Now, and at that time, one of the challenges that caused website to crash was because of how JavaScript was being used. So the JavaScript is supposed to be the last thing that your browser should see. A typical example is this. If you are a student and you have a robot that runs errands for you, if you tell this robot to go to the lecturer's office, move to the right, you will see lecturer David. Give David a bottle of Coke. Then move to the left, you will see lecturer Stephen. Give Stephen a bottle of Fanta. Now, I want to ask you, if that robot gets to the lecturer's office and doesn't see David there, will it move away from there? That is my question. Do you think that robot will move away from there if David is not seated in his office? Do you think that robot will move away from there? Can anybody respond? All right. Absolutely. The robot will not move away from there because the instruction is very clear. Move to the lecturer's quarter and give David a bottle of Coke, and then move to the left and give Stephen a bottle of Coke. So if it doesn't see David there, it will not come back, which is why it is very wrong for your browser to see a JavaScript file first. If it sees it first, it will try to implement the functionality as a robot. But since it has not seen the HTML tags that are in the body, then it can't do anything, and it will not come back and then read the HTML. No, it will be waiting there for the HTML to come. But the HTML cannot come because it is actually the browser that will continue with it. So on that note, notice that the JavaScript is the last thing that your HTML tag should see. You link your JavaScript here as the last thing in the body tag. So this is how you link JavaScript. Now you link it as the last thing in the body tag. This way, the browser would have seen all your CSS, all your HTML tags before coming across the JavaScript. So this is the best way to link your JavaScript. Now, but linking it as the last thing in the body does not mean that is the only way to link it. You can actually link it at the head here. You can link it here at the head, but if you link it like this, it might cause your browser to crash. So there is one keyword you need to add if you are linking it at the head, and the keyword is called differ. So differ, now this differ keyword means the same thing that you and I know. If you gain admission into school and you don't have school fees to pay at that time, you can actually go to the whatever, whether vice chancellor or anybody, and tell them you want to defer your admission, meaning that my admission should be put on hold. I will go out, look for funds. When I get the funds, then I will come back and continue with my school. So that is what this differ keyword is doing here. Now, if the browser starts reading your code from the top and gets to this line 9, the moment it sees the differ keyword, that means you are telling the browser to keep this JavaScript on hold, move on to other lines, read the remaining part of the codes, and then come back and continue with the JavaScript. So by doing this, the JavaScript will also be the last thing that the browser will interface with. So these are the two ways to link your JavaScript. You can either link it at the head with a script tag, but you must add the differ keyword, or to be on the safer side, you link it as the last thing in the body, but you don't need a differ keyword. Any question? Any question? No question. If there is no question, please drop a thumbs up so that I know that there is no question. All right. Thank you. So I'm definitely sure everybody knows how to link JavaScript. We may not come back to linking JavaScript again. Now let's move on to writing JavaScript. Now that thing I wrote before, I did something like alert. Throw an alert that says welcome to whatever, however you want to write it, and save it. Now, so you have it here saying welcome to whatever. Now, if you notice that it's not responding, it means that you haven't linked your JavaScript very well. So on that note, I want to say this. I will try as much as possible to be very, very slow. If at any point you find out I'm very fast, please call my attention. I'll be slow. The reason why I'm being slow is I don't want you to cram anything in JavaScript. You don't have to cram anything. You need to know it because this is your domain as a back-end developer. HTML is not for you, CSS is not for you, but JavaScript is for you. JavaScript should be your domain, should be like your own HTML. That is how it should be. And that is why I tell you JavaScript is very simple. And I'm sure that going forward, you will also be telling others that JavaScript is also very simple. So that being said, there is something called console.log. Now, console.log means I want to print out something on the browser. It means I want to see something on the browser. So you go to the browser. Now, this can only work when you have linked your JavaScript to your HTML tag and you have opened that HTML tag on a browser. You cannot open the JavaScript file alone on a browser. No, you have to link that JavaScript to your HTML tag, and it is the HTML tag that you will open on the browser. Okay, that being said, now I want to print out this thing on the browser, and I'm printing it out with the console. So if I'm using the console, I need to right click on my browser, and if I right click on my browser, let me make it bigger. Now I would see these options here. The first option is the element option. Now this element is telling me all the tags that I use. Let me see if I can make it bigger. Yes, I can. So it is actually showing me all the tags I used to build this thing, and you can actually open them up. So if I open this up, I have a section. Inside the section, I have this div. I have this second div 2. And inside div 2, I have h1, I have paragraph, I have button, and the close section. And then I have my JavaScript linked here. So this element part is the part for the HTML. The second part here is the console. This one is the console. The console is used for debugging. Say you want to debug your JavaScript, you want to see something, or you want to do something with your JavaScript, and you want to see the result. We use the console. So that is why you'll be seeing a lot of console log, because when you do something, you don't want to add it directly or immediately to your website. You want to see the result first. You want to see if it's actually working or if it's not working. And then you see it here on the console. So I can do something like console.log, console log the result of 1 plus 1. And if I save it, you see that it is showing me 2 here. And this is coming from index.js line 3. And also I am in line 3, and the name of my file is index.js. I can do another one and say console.log, and then console log my name, David, and save it. So you see here I have David, and it's coming from index.js line 5, and you can confirm that this is actually on line 5 and the index.js. Any question? Any question? If there is no question, please drop a thumbs up. Any question? If there is no question, drop a thumbs up. All right. Thank you. Okay, let's continue. Now, as backend developers, like I said, JavaScript should be your thing. It should be like your junior brother. So when it comes to writing JavaScript, we need variables to write JavaScript with. We need variables. We need things that we can use as data. We need data to write JavaScript. So there are different types of variables. We have the string variables. There are different types of variables, or we call them data types. Data types. So we need data, and data have different types. Okay. Like I said, when you want to link JavaScript, all you need to do is type script. This script is for if you want to write it on HTML, but you want this script that has the src. This src is like the source. So the script with the source of the file. So this is the one you need to link your JavaScript. I will click on it. Now, to link your JavaScript, you do / to find the JavaScript file you want to link. And this is the one I want to link. I'll click on it and save. So that is how you link JavaScript. Who is asking question in the attendance? Why are you asking question in the attendance? What's the question again? Okay. Now the console is, like I said, is used for debugging. The console is like, what is the perfect word to use? If you do anything in your JavaScript, for example, I can do something here like console.log, and I'll say, tell me the sum of 1 plus 4. So I am trying to add 1 and 4 together, but I'm not seeing the result. The only place I can see it is on the console. So the console is used for testing or debugging. So when you write some JavaScript codes, you want to test what it will do. The only place you will see that result, not like the only place, the place we use is the console. You can actually do this in your say document.write. Write for me the sum of 1 plus 4 and save it. So if you do this, you see that it's actually writing 5 here. But this now is because we are writing directly on the document. But I'm going to come to that later. The best place to actually use is the console. So that is what we use console for. We use the console for testing and debugging JavaScript code. So that being said, I was telling you that in order to write JavaScript, we need variables and we need data. You can either call them variables or you can call them data that to write JavaScript. And data have different types. We have the type of strings, we have the type of numbers, we have the type of booleans, we also have the type of null, and we have the type of undefined. So we have data or variables. They have different types. We have the strings, the numbers, the booleans, and the null, and the undefined. We have symbols, we have other types, but for now, these are the 5 data types that you need to be conversant with, that you will be using in your coding career. What are strings? What are numbers? What are booleans? And what are nulls? So I'm going to explain these things one after another. But before I explain them, I want to show you how we declare variables. In order to declare variables, you start with the keyword var. So var means that's variable declaration. You want to declare a variable or you want to create a variable. So when you write the keyword var, JavaScript knows that you are trying to create a variable. The next thing you want to do is to give that variable a name. I can call it any name. Any name. Any name is the name of my variable, and I will give it a value like this. So to rephrase this, for the sake of those who are learning JavaScript for the first time, Cynthia, we are going to talk about that, but for now, you don't need to bother. On the console, we are going to do it again. Just let's focus on what we have. We're going to write all of these things on the console again. As a matter of fact, the console will be your best friend as a developer. So you will do it over and over and over and over again. We're going to come back to the console again. So I'm trying to show you how we write variables. So in order to create variables, now variables is like a container. If you have been a science student before, or you have a kitchen, those of us that stay in the kitchen, you know that we are used to this culture as Africans. If I see a very fine container, I will wash it and keep it in the house. That container, I might want to use it for salt, I might want to use it for pepper, I might want to use it for Maggi or anything, maybe crayfish. So that container is considered as a variable. That container is considered as a variable. What you put inside is considered as the value of the variable. So if you have a container, the container itself is a variable, but what you put inside the container is the value of that variable. So let me use that analogy to demo it. So to create a container, I will start with the keyword var. But this container, I need to give it a name. For those who are science students, you know that if you have beakers and the science lab, you need to attach names to all the beakers so that people will know the content of each beaker. If it is a water, if it's a hydrochloric acid, if it's anything, you need to attach a name to that beaker. So that is what we are doing here. We are attaching names to each one, and then we put the assignment operator. Whatever you write here becomes the value of the variable. So here I can say 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So looking at this, I have declared a variable, or I have created a container. The name of my container is this. The value is this one. So this is what is inside my container. This number is what is inside my container. Now it cannot be numbers, it can be words too. So I have a container or a beaker with the value, the name is names, you can call it names, and then the value is this, a text. It can be text, it can be numbers. So this is the value. So that is how to declare variables. But like I said, variables have different types. Now I will come down to the different types. If you have a variable like this, any name, and you set the value like this, any variable that the value has quotes around it, that variable is considered to be a string. Simple and short. If that variable, the value has quotes around it, that variable is considered to be a string. It doesn't matter whether it's numbers, so long as it has quotes around it, that variable is considered to be a string, even if it's a mixture of numbers and text. It is considered to be a string because the value has quotes. Well, Stanley, we cannot say that the sort is a string. We can't really say that the sort is a string, but what we know is that the sort is a variable. The sort container is a variable, and the value inside is actually the sort. So whether the sort is a string or number or booleans, we can't really tell, but we know that the sort container has a value inside. So we are getting there. The next thing is, if that variable is numbers, any numbers, it has no limit, then that variable is considered as a number variable. Yes, we are going to come to that. Bisola, we are going to come to that. So if your variable is made up of numbers, if the value of that variable is made up of numbers, then that is a number variable. It can be decimal places, 1.4. So long as it is numbers, it is referred to as a number data type. So long as the number is referred to as a number data type. Okay, so we have established what a string is. We have established what numbers are. We want to talk about the booleans. The booleans. Now, a boolean is a variable that can have only two types of values. It is either true or false. There is no in between. Now, if you look at the name of the variable here, for example, I said is married. So is married is the name of the variable. It can be is married, is raining, is anything. So this int, I think you are getting it from Java and Python. So, but for JavaScript, we use numbers, not int. We use numbers, not int. So int is actually integer, and that is what we use numbers here. But we're going to come to that. But all of your questions, we will come to that. Let's just be able to establish these variable types. So like I said, a boolean is a variable type that can only have two values. There is no in between, no hanging on the fence. Should I eat? Yes or no. Is it raining? Yes or no. Is the light on? Yes or no. So, but in JavaScript, it is either true or false. So true is considered to be yes, while false is considered to be no. So is married can either be true or it can be false. There is no in between. That is a Boolean type. There is no in between. No in between. So like I said, a string is any data type that has quotes. Now, if you put something like true here, or you put something like false here, false, this data type and this data type are not the same, even though they are spelled the same. The moment you put a quote around it, it becomes a string. So a string is any data type that has quotes, whether it is numbers, whether it is booleans, whether it is null, whatever it is. The moment it has quotes around it, it is a string. Numbers are all the numbers, while booleans can only have two values, true or false. Now, the undefined and the null are similar, but they are not the same thing. The undefined and null are similar, but they are not the same thing. So if you are listening to me and you want me to actually differentiate between two of them, please drop a thumbs up so that I know you are listening to me. If you are listening and you want me to differentiate between the null and the undefined, drop a thumbs up. Okay, any other person? Okay, all right. So what is the difference between null and undefined? What's the difference between null and undefined? Now, let's use the analogy of containers we have in the kitchen. Let's say you see a fine container. I think we did it then. This Bama container, you can get it and wash it, and then you want to put something inside the glass bottle and cover it. Now, say you see a fine container and you get that container, you wash it, you dry it, but you don't have anything to put inside immediately. You've got the container already. You don't have anything to put inside today. Maybe tomorrow you buy what you want to put inside, or maybe next week you buy what you want to put inside, or maybe next month you buy what you want to put inside. But the thing there is, one, you don't have what to put inside now. Two, you will definitely buy something and you will definitely put something inside it. That is considered as undefined. So undefined is a variable that does not have any value now. It does not have any value today, but in the future, or as you are coding, as you are working, you are going to assign a value to it. That is considered as undefined. For example, when the football match starts, everybody is 0-0. Nobody has actually scored. So it's considered at that time that it is actually undefined. In the future, the values can change to 1, to 2, to 3, to 4, 5, as the case may be. So that is an example of an undefined value. For now, it doesn't have any value, but as I'm working or as I'm coding, before the end of my project, I'm going to assign a value to it. So how do you define that? You say var, and you can give it any name. That is the name. So this now, there is no assignment operator. You see, there is no assignment operator. So that means for now, you're just creating the variable, but you have not assigned any value. So this equal to is known as assignment operator. You're trying to assign something. You say the value is equal to this. This is equal to this. So for here, you don't have any value. So because you don't have any value to assign to it now. But undefined or null, a null variable, let's say you get that container, you like that container, you have washed the container, You have dried the container. But in your mind, inside the heart of your heart, you know that you will never put anything inside it. Not today, not tomorrow, not next year. That container will never have any value inside. You just like it because it is fine. That type of variable is known as a null. A null is a variable that doesn't have any value. So you can say variable something is equal to null. So this means, of course, we hear people say null and void, null and void. Null and void means it doesn't have anything inside and it will not have anything inside. So that is different between an undefined and null. Undefined doesn't have a value now, but it will have a value later. A null will never have any value. So ladies and gentlemen, between these 5 variable types that I've explained, do you have any question? Do you have any question? Yes, wisdom, I understand your, will I call it, what did I call it? Your point. Why do we need to assign a value null when we both know that it doesn't have any value? For some of you, you might work in fintechs, and an example of fintech software is a case where a user needs to pay money before you credit them with airtime, or a user needs to pay money before you give an order. Just something, a case where the user needs to do something before you give them a service. So in that case now, the system works automatically, which means you can be sleeping and somebody will buy an airtime on your website or mobile app. So you can set your backend to say, if this person has made payment, use true or false. They have made payment, true. They have not made payment, false. But in a case where the person is trying to play one rigmarole, do one smartness with you, don't use true or false, use null. So that when the backend sees it as null, automatically the backend will throw it away one time. This person is trying to be too smart. So null, you use null in cases where you don't want to use anything that might confuse your software. You want to use something that your software will see it and recognize it and then throw it away. That is null. So if you are trying to log into somebody's details and you have not verified or done any verification, but you were able to access one part of it, and then you are trying to do another thing, the system sees that your variable is coming as null. It will just log you out immediately or even ban you. So a null variable is used in so many cases and it's very important. So which is why we are learning it. Wisdom, I think that should have answered your question. So any other question on these data types before we move on to what will be the value name for the undefined variable? Victoria, I understand your question, but it's not totally clear to me. Can you use the mic and tell us what you mean? I understand, but I'm not totally sure if that's what you mean. What will be the value name for the undefined variable? Victoria, are you there? Hello, Victoria. You need to unmute and then before I can hear you. Are you listening?
Hello, good evening.
Yeah, good evening.
Hello, good evening. Yes, you said the
Yes, good evening.
undefined is a variable that does not have any value now, but as you
Yes.
code, you can give it a value in future. So what would be the name of that value you're going to give to it in future?
Okay, this name, this thing I defined here is the name. Like I told you, if you are trying to declare a variable, the first thing to write is the keyword. The second thing that follows is the name of that variable. So in the future, if you are trying to assign a variable, a value to this, you can just call the name like this and say now your value is equal to 6 or your value is equal to this, however you want. So that's how you call it. You call it by the name and you assign a value to it. You are not going to declare var again because you've already declared it. And tomorrow you can still call it again and change the value to 6 if you want. You can call it again and change the value because you've done that. So but we'll get to that part. We'll get to all that part. As a matter of fact, that's the next thing we're going to right now. That's where we're going to right now. Okay. What's the next question? All right. Okay, so somebody was asking, what is the difference between const and let me get it. Const and var, and we have let too. So this is what I'll do. I will put var here, put const here, and put let here. So what is the difference between the three of them? Now, JavaScript before, we had JavaScript before, and it was called ES5. I think I have not explained this to you guys. So let me explain it so that you understand where we are coming from. ES ECMAScript ES 2014 and ES 2015. All right. So JavaScript, like I told you before, had gone through series of updates and they keep upgrading JavaScript. So in the course of our learning, you would hear me use words like ES5 or ES6. Now, ES refers to JavaScript. Now, another name for JavaScript is called ECMAScript. We refer to JavaScript as ECMAScript. Now, JavaScript is not the only ECMAScript. There are other ECMAScripts, but JavaScript has more of the similarities, or will I say the properties or things that will make you say this thing is an ECMAScript. So JavaScript has it more, and that is why we refer to JavaScript as ECMAScript. So you can hear some people say ECMAScript, they are referring to JavaScript. You can hear some people say ES, they are referring to JavaScript. So if you hear ES5 is JavaScript, ES6 is JavaScript, ECMAScript is JavaScript, ES 2014, ES 2015, ES 2016. Once you just hear ES, they are referring to JavaScript. And it actually comes out in exams. In a lot of international exams, you see it. What's another name for JavaScript? It's actually ECMAScript. So, but what is the difference between ES5 and ES6 and ES7, as the case may be? ES5 is the old version of JavaScript, and while ES6 is the new version of JavaScript. I'll take that again. ES5 or ECMAScript 5 or ES 2014, there are three of them are the same thing. ES5, ECMAScript 5, ES 2014, they are the same thing. They are the old version of JavaScript. ES6, ECMAScript 6, ES 2015 is a newer version of JavaScript. And I think there are ES 17, there will also be ES 8, there will also be ES9. If we are alive, that will be ES10, and the case goes on. We are going to have those versions. So when you hear me say ES5, I'm referring to the old version. If you hear ES6, I'm referring to the newer version. So before now, if you want to declare a variable, you will use the keyword var to declare a variable in JavaScript, which is what we did here. We are using the var keyword to declare variables. Now, this var keyword comes with ES5. ES5. So the var keyword comes with ES5, but it has some limitations. It has some faults, some things wrong with it. Now, it doesn't mean it will not work. It will work, but it has some limitations like that. And one of them is what I would like to explain with a household phenomena. Let's assume all of us stay in the same compound. We live in the same estate, all of us. Now, because we live in the same estate, we all have the same water tank. You know, there will be one tank that will be serving the whole estate, maybe one or two, but it's coming from the same place, one tank. So will you say that because we all live in the same estate and we use the same water tank, I can come into Victoria's kitchen and fetch water, because after all, it's the same water. We're getting it from the same tank. Or I can go to Joshua's kitchen and fetch water because we are using the same tank. No, I can't do that, even though we are using the same tank. But if there is a tap outside, all of us can fetch from that tap because everybody will have access to that tap. So when it comes to the var keyword doesn't know what is private and what is public. So long as it is the same thing, it will pick it from anywhere. Meaning that if Victoria declares a variable in his own house, Joshua declares a variable in his own house. If I call that variable, in fact, the variable in their houses will be struggling which one will answer me first. But that shouldn't be the case. So the var keyword is not scoped. It doesn't know boundaries. Like that's another way I want to say scoped. So it is not scoped. It doesn't have boundaries. So long as you call the name of that variable, wherever it is declared, it will answer you like that. That is one thing wrong. The next thing is the var keyword can be changed at any time. Let's say I'm working on a project and the project can take 3 months to finish. The first day, I have declared the variable called is married and I assign it to be false. Maybe 2 weeks or maybe 1 month later, I have forgotten that I named the variable is married because, of course, the code base can get up to 1,000. I have forgotten that I've created the variable called is married. But if I decide to create another variable again called is married, it will allow me, which is wrong. It's not supposed to allow me to give variables or more than one variable the same name. So it's wrong. I shouldn't have a case where 2 variables are bearing exactly the same names. Now, if I want to call them now, how do I know which one I am referring to? Am I referring to the boolean or am I referring to the numbers? I can't know that. So that is another limitation that the var keyword has, which is why const and let were introduced. So const and let were introduced in ES6 to solve the limitation that the var keyword has in ES5. So what is const and what is let? Const is if I want to declare a constant variable, a variable that the value will not change. It has to be constant. then you use const. A let keyword is a variable that I know the value can change later. So that's the difference between const, let, and var. Now, the var keyword can be used at any time. You want to use it, you go ahead, nothing stops you, so long as you know how to scope it and you will not name the same variable twice. You will not forget that you have named the same variable before. But the const keyword is a constant variable. Yes, as in constant, yes. Meaning that if I come here, like I named this is married, if I say const, if I come again and say const is married, it will not allow me. You see, it will not allow me do this. Why? It says cannot redeclare block scoped variables. Now that is not actually giving me the real explanation I want. The real explanation will come if I console log it. I say console log is married. If I try to console log it, now it will say uncaught syntax error. Identifier is married has already been declared. So, and I think that also is a different explanation. So the VS Code give a different explanation, cannot declare block scope variable, and my Edge browser says has already been declared. Now, if you use Chrome, Chrome is going to say, I think something like caught syntax error, assignment to a constant variable. I think so. That's what Chrome will say, assignment to a constant variable. So this const and let we are introduced to solve the error that the var keyword has. So on that note, now if you are going to use undefined, you know that the value of undefined is going to change later. So you are not going to be using const here because of course the value is going to change later. Rather, you will use let. So they did it very well. They took their time, understood the problem, and solved the problem. So I would advise you, going forward, we will be declaring all our variables with const, except unless we know that the value of that variable will change in the future. Then we have to use let. So, any question so far? Our session is supposed to end by 7, and I think that is where I am ending. So, any question before we end it? Any question? Any question? Yes, submit your assignment via GitHub. So let and var does the same thing. Yes, let and var does the same thing, but var let doesn't have the error that is associated with var. So on that note, yes, that was a lot. That was a lot. So on that note, to wrap it up, I'm going to post the assignment on Google Classroom. And thank you all for coming to today's class. See you again next or this weekend. Our class rep has not been chosen. Okay, we don't have time. We are still going to leave Cynthia to keep doing our good works. Okay, maybe later next week we're going to pick a course rep. But if we don't, we might upgrade her to the course rep. Yes, Said, we're going to get the videos tomorrow or Tuesday, but definitely unfailingly Tuesday morning, you should get the videos. Yes. Let will not allow you to redeclare the same values. You only use let when you know that the value of that variable will change. That is the only time you use let, when the value will change. Yes, I explained how to use GitHub in our last class, but if you didn't follow up, don't worry, a recording of that class will be dropped to and there you can see that. But it's not difficult, it's very easy. Just go to GitHub, create an account. Once you create an account, create a repo, a public repo. And once you create a repo, drag all your files and put there. That is all. Okay, well, okay, you know what? Let me just push this to GitHub so that we'll see it one more time. I'm going to share this code with you, but I'll share that doing it with GitHub. So I will go to github.com. Like I said, create an account on GitHub. Then click on new or this plus sign to create a new repository. Anyone, the two of them will do the same thing. Click on it, create a new repository. Now this repository, you can give it any name. So I can call mine intro. You can call yours anything. Make sure that it is on public and click create. That's all. If you click create, somewhere here, I know it might be tiny, but somewhere here you will see upload an existing file. Upload an existing file somewhere here in this blue text. Upload an existing file. You click on it, it will ask you to drag and drop all the files. So what you want to do is actually go over to your folder that you created. Open the folder. Where is it? It's inside here. And then copy all of them, or you drag them one by one. Drag them one by one and drop. One by one and drop there. So when you drag and drop, then you come down to click commit changes. So commit changes, like you want to save them, and it will take a while, and then it has saved. So you can copy this URL and submit it as your link, or you come here, click on code and copy this link here. The two links are the same thing. They are actually the same thing. So I'll copy this one and then I'll share it with you guys. That is the code we had for this class. So that's the end. We can drop a thumbs up except you have a question, but if there is no question, drop a thumbs up so that we can end today's class. All right, thank you. See you all. So, like I said, you need to check out the Google Classroom for the assignment. Yeah, check out Google Classroom for the assignment. All right, bye. Bye.